As you all know, this center has been operative for more than 3 years. We had been having this monthly lecture basically to better understand our Roma brothers and sisters spread all over the world. And the intention of this monthly lecture series is to look at the issues and problems faced by our Roma brothers and sisters in different countries, and also on certain issues which may be of interest to many more people. The other focus of this monthly lecture series is to create awareness in India about Roma community. Though we all know about Roma's historical connections with India, but still there are many in India who are not aware of this connection. So through this lecture series, as well as our fortnightly newsletters, we are trying to reach out to our Roma brothers and sisters, as well as to expand the knowledge about Roma within India. Today, we are going to focus on an interesting topic, which is about the bridge of support, fostering dialogue for Roma and Ukrainian refugee communities. And the lecture will be delivered by Ms. Sonia Styrkacz. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correct, Sonia.
Oh, Sonia Styrkacz. Yeah, but it's okay. It's not a problem.
Who is a practicing psychologist and a researcher in Poland.
Yes.
We in our newsletter have been covering news about Ukrainian Romas and the problems which they have faced even as refugees in Poland and other countries.
Yes.
Though we all know about their historical discrimination for centuries, but we thought that things would change, but things have gone.
वो ऊपर जो मेरा पेपर है ना blue folder
May I request other participants who are not speaking, they should have their things on mute, because otherwise it disturbs everyone. Thank you. So we are aware about the historical discrimination which this community has been facing, despite the efforts by European Commission for their inclusiveness, for their increased participation in the activities. Things are not happening as desired or as wished. So today, Sonia is going to take us to the issues concerning the Romas from Ukraine and other Ukrainian refugees and their issues. So before I hand over the floor to Sonia, I'll request Jamir to introduce the topic as well as the speaker. Jamir, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, sir. And hello and welcome everyone for joining the 27th virtual lecture of our lecture series. Today's lecture will aim at exploring the bridge of support and dialogue for Ukrainian Roma community and Ukrainian refugees in Poland. I would like to take you to I would like to shed some light on the historical perspective. Before beginning of the war between Ukraine and Russia, the population of Roma in Ukraine was estimated to be around 300,000 and 400,000, who were dispersed throughout the country and encompassing a range of dialects and cultural identities. The majority of Roma in Ukraine are Lovars, and but there are also other groups such as Kaldares and Servitka Roma and Ruska Roma. Most of them speak the different dialects of the Romani language, besides, especially dominated by Lovari language. Besides, they also speak other languages like Ukrainian, Hungarian, Russian languages. On the start of the invasion of Russia of Ukraine, Roma began to flee the country. and chose to go to the countries like Czech Republic, Poland, Hungary, Germany, Slovakia, and the Netherlands. Most of Roma refugees cross the border by public transport like train or bus, and there are also cases of Romani families who crossed the border on foot. They stayed for a few days at the refugee reception center, and before traveling further into Poland uh, or possibly further west, the Western countries. According to the European Commission, the estimates around 100,000 Roma from Ukraine, especially from eastern Ukraine, from Kharkiv, Donetsk, Odessa, entered Poland. The Roma refugees from Ukraine face greater difficulties in getting access to housing, healthcare, employment, and enrollment of their children into schools than non-Roma refugees due to the perennial discrimination and deep-rooted anti-Gypsyism. Roma refugees have a very limited opportunities to obtain information or find housing and jobs and the doctors, which only increase their sense of marginalization and isolation from the mainstream society. There are several cases of discrimination and hostile behavior, racial slur, and verbal attack by the non-Roma staffs at the refugee reception centers, where Roma refugees were supposed to be temporarily residing. Roma faced overt discrimination and segregation from segregation from other refugees at the border. Even during the war, that is a very crucial, I would like to note that even during the war, the prejudices and the discrimination, ethnic discriminations do not disappear. Still, there is anti-Roma sentiment prevailing wherever the Roma, went to. They are faced with several problems, not problems because of their ethnicity, because of their racial identity. So today we have the very eminent speaker and about the precise situations and exact conditions of Roma refugee in Poland. I'd like to listen to our today's speaker, Ms. Sonia Styrkacz, because he is a practicing, as our sir mentioned, that he is a practicing psychologist. But the Sonia also holds the PhD in pedagogy from the University of Silesia in Katowice. And she's also she's also the PhD scholar in psychology from the University of Warsaw. So she is, the dual PhD holder. And she is a member of the Polish Roma Bergitka group. And she is quite active in advocating for Roma rights. And she is currently involved in a lot of numerous humanitarian organizations helping Ukrainian Roma refugees in Poland. And before, I don't want to take much more time because we have the very eminent speaker. So now I would like to request the chairperson of the Center for Studies and Cultural Relations, Ambassador Sachdeva sir, to proceed with the lecture. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jamir, for this excellent introduction of speaker as well as the topic. So now, once again, I take this opportunity to welcome you all for this lecture. And I'm really happy that many Indians are also participant today, which is also one of our focus areas so that our people also understand the historical connection with the community as well as understand their problems. As Jamir has mentioned, that the Roma from Ukraine, which again is a big number in Ukraine before the war, are facing serious issues and problems, even for stay, even for their health, and even for their children education, which earlier also they were facing in that country, but that has increased manifold because of the not welcoming approach shown by the neighboring countries. I can understand the serious issues or serious problem which these communities facing. So we'll be very happy to hear from Sonia Styrkacz about this issue in detail. Thank you very much. Now I request Miss Sonia to take over and take on the subject, which is will be of interest to all of us. Thank you. Welcome, Sonia.
Thank you again. Thank you for introducing me. Yes, as Zamir said, there are many different groups Roma in Ukraine. So since begin the war in Ukraine, I also was very involved to help Roma people. And first of all, I was started to do my work by my own self. I live in Silesia, it's south of Poland, but there were so many interventions that we need to organize themselves. And I started to do my work with Foundation Towards Dialogue, which started to help the Roma refugee more in organizing way. And how to say, I will briefly tell you about the foundation, and then we will talk about my work there and my experience, and also about the trainings which I organize for Roma refugee. These trainings are more in psychology way. So I also tell you about some barriers, cultural barriers, which Gaji people, non-Roma people don't understand in psychology support. So my role is also to, in some way, to connect the psychology support in cultural ways. So I understand Roma people, I understand culture, I understand the language, and I know how to help these people, related to these cultural issues. So maybe a few words about the foundation. It's also important to tell something about the organization which helped these Roma people from Ukraine. So foundation has been working for Roma community before wars, but mostly they focus on the Polish Roma. But this is also important that the foundation just focuses in different projects about the integration, about the language, about the integrations process. So there was different kind of issues, but I will also share you the presentations after the lecture if you would like, because there are many sources which maybe you will would like to read more. So first of all, it's that foundation focuses at the cultural and education workshops. So we saw that this kind of topics were very important before war and also after war. So we help we help Roma refugees to educate themselves. And for example, in our foundation, we started to organize Roma language lessons for Roma from Zakarpattia, the Magyarska Roma. They don't speak Romanes. They had very bad history there, the long history of discrimination. They didn't have the opportunity to learn at schools, to learn their own history. And, this kind of discrimination also forbidden to use Romani language, in some way they touch their identity. So they are Roma, they born as a Roma, but, there were some problems to communicate with us. For example, with me, if I started to talk with Romanes from some groups of Zakarpattia, they didn't understand me. And we started to organize that kind of lessons for them and involve Roma refugees from other groups, like, for example, Ruska Roma, who started to learn the other groups in Romanes. There was also a mentoring support, so I am also involved in that program. That, for example, I start to be in some way that person for other Roma refugees. So if person, for example, they don't have goal, they don't know what to do in their life. They come here to Poland and they don't know what to do. They go, I don't know, to Germany, to maybe to Denmark, maybe come back again to Ukraine. So they are still not stability. They don't think in some stability way. So, for example, my role is to create some goals with them to and check what they want to do from their life. And it's very also important, you know, in some way to build some strong, you know, identity and strong thinking of living, you know. So we have to say that many Roma refugees from Ukraine, they also they are not full, you know. They come mothers with children and more husbands, they fight in the war, so they don't feel like a full family. So they don't have straight goals. They don't know what to do. In some way, they're just thinking about to survive next day and next day and next day. So the mentoring programs help, first of all, to engage Polish Roma to help Roma from Ukraine. So this is also in some way process of integration, you know, to meet other Roma. But also, you know, information the Gaji people, you know, this is also very important to inform Gaji people that, hey, there is a big problems, you know, and you still discriminate Roma refugees in different levels of different levels in society, in education, for example, in political way. So it's important, you know, to inform that there is a problem and we need some systematic results. So we also create some reports to show the governments that there are that different kind of discrimination that you know, it's important to fix that problem or to show in more political area level. And also networking is also important because, you know, to do the work, such of hard work, we need support. We need other people, we need other organization to build some coalition, to speak in one voice. So it's very important, and this is also it's creating. What is my work? You know, I started to do some interventional work. So since the war was begin, I started, for example, to collect food, to help children, to try to find some homes and other issues. But this is not my professional area. So I started to use my skills, which I have, and my education. So I started to help them in some psychology way. And this is very important because the Roma people don't trust Gaji, to be honest. And, you know, we don't hate them for that reason, because it's normal. And even Polish Roma don't trust so much Gaji people and Gaji doctors and Gaji psychologists. So even the psychologists Gaji come to Roma families or to Roma children, they will not get the full information from them because the Roma people are scared, you know, how that information will be used, maybe that the information will be used against them. So it's important, you know, in some way to create some relations, trust relations, and then to start in some way to help them in therapeutic way. This is in some way my work, that I work with families, but also I was involved in one project, framework of UNICEF project, which we create 4 areas of psychology support. So we focused on art therapy with adults and with children. We focus on animations also with elements of art therapy, and we focus on psychotherapeutic work with for parents. My work mostly was to involve in this area professionalist trainer. So, for example, for me, it was very important to involve these people who are open for our community, who don't have some prejudices, because to be honest, you know, even people who are psychologists, they have in some way stereotypes, prejudices. So it's important to involve in cooperation with us, the people who understand who is Roma and what kind of barrier that person have in daily days. So I started to collect people, and we built quite a good team. So first, I will tell you more about this psychotherapeutic workshop for parents. We started to create some therapeutic groups where the people, you know, share experience, a very difficult experience, and in some way they had first time to share their problems and to hear our problems from other persons. So, but that doesn't work, to be honest, at the beginning. So I was starting to think how to help this Roma woman, to help them in therapeutic way, because if in some way will come some gadget person who is white, who don't have that kind of hard experience, and started to ask them, whoa, what is your problem, or what kind of problem do you have, or what do you experience, you know, during the war, that person will not open and will not share with some problems, and, you know, started to not talk about her emotions. So I come to this woman and ask them, what do you want from us? What kind of workshop do you want? So we started to combine the therapeutic way with cooking workshops. And this is in some way India, a very innovative way to thinking about the therapeutic way, because first, that needs came from them, and they told me, I want to cook something from my country. I want to cook something from Ukraine. I want to cook something from my family. I want to cook something what will remind me good times. So we decided to combine the cooking workshop with the therapy, psychotherapy, and the woman started to talk. During the cooking, they started to talk about their traumas. They started to talk. They started to be more open during this workshop. And after that, we saw that many women wanted to join to us. They wanted to share with their stories, even they were very hard. But we saw in some way, catharsis, you know, emotional catharsis, and many women were very happy. First time to say something about their lives, very hard lives, and heard, for example, from other women, oh yes, I had the same experience or similar experience, so you are not alone in that very hard times. This form of workshop was welcomed with great enthusiasm. So I can share you a few photos. They are different Roma, and I would like to tell you that they are not Roma with darker skin, for example, like me, but they are different groups which have, you know, blue eyes, blonde hair, lighter skin, but they are also Roma, and they were discriminated because they were Roma. So that kind of different experience from then just showed that in some level we are similar. So, you know, this workshop which we created, that woman just creating food, preparing food, and after preparing, we sitting together, we joined this food, we eating this food, and we started to talk, you know. And sometimes the topics were very difficult, sometimes the topics were very hard, but after this workshop, we saw that they were happy to share their experience, and they were happy that someone just listened to them without judging them. So this is also important what we create, and we changed that. So that was quite an innovation way to create therapeutic group, but in some way that came from them. The second part was animation and art workshop with also art therapy. So here we involved the children in this part, and the children had opportunity to create their own film, animated film, and I will show you this film. First of all, children just created own drafts. during this workshop, they also talking about the emotions. They also talking in some way about bad experience which they had in schools, for example. And it's important that we were not talking just about the trauma from war, but we were talking about these times. So they came from Warsaw, for example. They couldn't find themselves in the class because the other children just, didn't want to have contact with them. They were scared. So we also talked about some problems which they had now living in Poland. So this kind of workshop helped them in some way to understand their emotions, to understand their experience. They had their difficult lives, not just in Ukraine, but also in Poland. So you can see here that first of all, the children learned how to use different digital programs, how to create movies, how to use camera, and that kind of workshops were very popular. The children just sitting and drawing whatever they want. So that wasn't some topic that they should to draw. We just say, draw something what you like, what you remember from your family, or what is nice for you, or what is bad for you. So they started to draw, and after that we colored all these things, and we created the movie. So here I will show you part of this work. All these drawings were created by the children, and they use their Ukrainian language because many, as I said before, many Roma children, they don't know how to use Romani language. Some of them, they use Romani, but most of them which I were worked, they don't know Romanes. They understand, but they had a problem to communicate in Romanes.
Ничего не блядь. А не подвор, а не настой. А если там подвор? Если волк убьет. Дракула! Я сама подпорно сбегала. Дракула! Ведьми! Стоп! Стоп, он ясно, где никому не помогал. Он берется. Так, они могут в будках так быть, и в жидком может так и быть. И таких красивых может быть так и должен. Куда боится туда? Вон. Хорошо, недолго. Тебе хтось самолісти, це тебе до шопи, і ти не тако, як у мами не воїна б'ють. Я знаю, що ти робиш, як тебе хтось, якщо тебе б'є. Ключі на помець. Наталі, хочу пройти поліцію. Позвони до бабки, до дядя. Если так тебе цікавий, то є отой. Он ходить зі мною у рядний клас, їздим бавитися на шерві, їде на двоє за футбол. Закупи. Тут готова. Доченька теж може готувати, швачка теж може готувати. А рішати хто буде? Що?
Okay, so here you can saw some parts of what the children saw during the war. So, for example, the children couldn't explain what saw, that her father or his father just had to go had to be a soldier, but he can draw it, you know. So we can understand in some way what kind of experience had that kind of child. And during this draw, we know it that, okay, this child, for example, saw that kind of scene, which was very traumatic for his or for her. The next workshop, what we create was workshop for also for art therapy, and during this workshop, the women also talked about their emotion, about the difficulties, share their experience, and also create some very interesting works of wool. Not at the same time, so in some way that was similar for the cooking workshop, but here we had the professionals who know how to create some very creative products from croquettes. And here you can see that even the whole families, for example, here you can see the Madziarska Roma from Zakarpattia, and they also didn't know how to create something. So for them, that was something new. They learned how to create some, for example, I don't know, hat or other things. And during that kind of workshops, they also had opportunity to talk, to share their experience. And in some way, that was also very calm workshops. So even they, for example, they had that experience that all the time they hear some shouts, some other, you know, very big noise, because to be honest, the places where they live, they are not good places. They don't have, the children don't have own room. The children don't have own place where can, for example, just do lessons or something less. In one room, for example, there are 10 people, 11 people, so they don't have, you know, even safe place to play, for example. So that kind of workshop gives them in some way free time to thinking about their future, in some way to create some goals. So yes, we created that kind of workshop, and they were also very popular. And we also create a psychological workshop for children, also with elements of art therapy. But here we're trying to combine this workshop with Roma culture. So, for example, during this workshop, during this play, we also discussed about the Roma culture, about what is important for Roma culture, what is important for them. There was also a place to show some problems, to observe some problems. So in that project was involved one psychologist from Ukraine, that she was Gadzi Romni, but she had many observations. For example, during this workshop, we saw what kind of child, for example, has some problem with ADHD or with PTSD. So we had some opportunity to send that child, for example, for full diagnosis, to also to create some opinion, which then that helped them for example, for create some good lessons in schools. So that kind of workshop also were very popular. And here you can see, you know, some small part of play. There is Tatiana in here you can see Tatiana. She was the psychologist. And to be honest, it's very also important, you know, about this workshop, because for some of children that was good reason to play, to integrate themselves. Yes, so for them that was very good place also to play, to forget about the problems, to be a child, just to be a child, you know, for example 1 hour, to don't thinking about some adult problems where they were listen all the time, to be honest. So we can see, and we can see also how children create the Roma flag here on the wall. They used many different tools, and the children were very engaged in this process. Other workshop, we also trying in our foundation to bring more Roma culture, to bring more Roma climate. What I say, climate that will be good. So the foundation also organize music workshop for Roma children, and we also involved Polish Roma, Romi Teresa Mirga, which is famous poets and musics. And here you have quite, you can see how that looks like. Yes, so that was also very popular because you know, joining to music, to dance, and for that moment, just the people forget about their problems. So we're trying to also organize that kind of workshop with Roma, with Polish Roma. So the people just learn the Romani music, learn the language, learn how to dance, and they also really had a good time. What was the most important in psychological support? We had to be very elastic because some people just didn't know what they want. They thinking, okay, I will be here in Poland for 1 month, and after next month I will come back to Ukraine, or maybe I will go to Germany. So we had to be very flexible with this. And this is very important. Some of mothers were also very in very bad conditions, so they need to take some medicine, psychotropic medication, for example, to help them, to wake up, to stop crying, to don't have so much, anxiety disorders. Or depression. So in my work, I also trying to in some way diagnose them, and then to help them to go to the psychiatrist, and then the people just start to function in normal way. Most of families, as I said, they didn't speak Romanes, so I trying in some way to conduct the Romani language during my psychology support. So I spoke with them Romanes, they understand me, but they reply me in Ukraine, for example. So I also use different tools to trying to catch this language contact with them, but they trusted me, and this is also important. If I thinking in Romani way as a psychologist, they also understand that I really want to help them. I don't come there to judge them, to, for example, to create some problems for them. They start to trust me, and then I start to work with them in this psychology support. So I prepared for you one more movie. This movie is with English subtitles. So in this movie you can see how we work here with Roma refugees. Here is more interventional crisis. So how we collect the food, how we help them, how we go to schools with them, how we try to find some some low resolution for them. So we try to help them in different way. And here you can see some people from my team. And this movie is with English subtitles. It's quite short. So after that, I will share you with, I will just get to my conclusion, and if you will have some questions, I'm open.
Kurteczki proszę zdjąć i dajemy tutaj. Moja motywacja, żeby tu zostać w tej fundacji,
Wait.
to jest chyba życie też mojego. Z wiadomości od rodziców, że Romowie
Oh,
w tamtych
I thought that is with English subtitles. Wait a minute.
latach chodziły do szkoły specjalnej.
But I can briefly try to translate you this. So here is one. Here is one from our team, Raymond. He's also Rom. So he started like me to work with Roma refugee, and also he explained very difficult, mostly discrimination difficult. Discrimination, you know, to, for example, to go to some office, governments, to ask people about some financial support, to ask people in some also, you know, food support. And so here you can see that there is also very teamwork, to be honest. So we also work with not just with Roma. Here it's our head from our foundation, Joanna, and she's also Romni. To be honest, we created in some way intercultural team, which bring Gazi people who are more open, more sensitive about the Roma issues, and we try in some way to, you know, combine this different perspective to help Roma people. I will say that in some way sometimes it's very difficult because, you know, Roma perspective and Gazi perspective, this is different perspective about the helping. So for us, that was also in some way very interesting situation, and to try to find in some way conclusion which way is the best, for example, for that family or for other family. You see that during this war we have different kind of groups of Roma. So we had contact with Mađarska Roma, with Sewry, with Mukany, with Ruska Roma, and different of that kind of groups. They have also own dialects, they have also own traditions, they have also own way, in some way, how to live, you know. So we need to try to find this, how to say, in some way, gold resolution to help these people. But during my work, I will I will say that for me it's very important, for example, to help Roma people from Roma perspective, in Romanes, in Roma way, to understand, to help them to understand their own situation. I'm sorry that this movie isn't with English subtitles, but I will send you the link on YouTube. Here you can find also the reports which we created. But in this English, with English subtitles, I can send you the link where you can find the all this movie with English subtitles. Okay, I'm sorry if I spoke too long, but I'm open for questions. If you had, I would like to explain or try to give you some comments.
Thank you very much, Sonia, for sharing the work done by your foundation for the Roma people to overcome their trauma of being a refugee in a new country and trying to understand their problem and make them ease, which is a very difficult for them as well as for the persons who are doing it. because the trauma which they have faced or they have gone through is tremendous, unlike the discrimination which they faced in their own country. But so now the house is open for questions, comments. So we welcome anyone to start with the comments or question, if any.
Anyone has any questions? If don't, I have one question, Sonia. As you explained, the work done by your foundation, as well as you are deeply involved in providing and offering such help and such support to the Roma people, Roma refugee in distress. What, as a being a psychologist, you yourself as a being a psychologist, you find that you know that the Roma are faced with the perennial and long-lasting and historical discriminations and oppressions and prejudices and segregations and isolation from the mainstream societies. They are being alienated, in every society wherever they are residing in. Now, that situation, they have some kind of psychological problems or psychosis, psychosis, and some problems, because their life is very deplorable and pitiable. Their situation is very horribly deplorable, So the war that compounded the intensity and the intensity of the stress and the depressions among the community. So, as you also rightly mentioned, that the Roma people, they don't trust very easily, or they don't trust Gaze or Gajo. So now you yourself are a Romani. So you find what the challenges you face, not to speak of the non-Roma psychologist or psychiatrist, or but you yourself are a Romani. So what challenges you face, and how you the way down their psychological situations in comparison to the local and regional populations.
Yeah, it's very difficult because I identity with these people, in some way they are my people. They understand, I understand them, and they also in some way understand me. We have some connections, cultural connection, language connection, historical connection. So I really, in some way, I felt that I'm burnt out, to be honest. And I had many different cases and very hard cases. For example, that, the mother started to drink because she was in that kind of stress that her husband died, her mother died, and she had three small children, and this is Roma perspective, how to protect these children, how to protect this woman. And I cannot, in some way, thinking in Gadzikani way that, okay, the mother is drinking, so we have to protect the child, and we have to give the child to some care children home, to separate the children from the mother. And this is Gadzikani way of thinking, and not the Romani way of thinking. So after that, I had many ethical dilemmas. How to help these people, because I'm also mother, so I came to home. I can understand what kind of stress they have, what kind of stress have the children. So that was very difficult to combine these dilemmas to help these people. And first of all, what is the priority, of helping them. So I to be honest, I never felt in some way guilty in my work. So my perspective is more Romani perspective, because I understand this kind of dilemmas, and I always will help these people in different hard cases. But to be honest, there are not so many Roma psychologists or psychiatrists that I will go and say, I need supervision, that someone will help you with my dilemma. So, I come to home and I speak with my family about, the hard work, what I have with Roma refugees. So this is my supervision here with my family. And this is, you know, in some way it's very hard, and I know that we need some tools, we need some protocols, we need some systems, because, you know, combine the cultural perspective of psychology help, also need to, you know, be in the same way in the cultural perspective, not just, you know, we have tools, we have tests, we have different diagnoses and protocols and so on, but also on the other hand we have culture, Roma culture, you know, so Roma culture which had many very big history of discrimination, and to be honest, I don't have to think in, you know, theoretical way, because I understand that kind of prejudice, I understand discrimination, so I do my best from my side to help these people. But I will tell you that in some way I feel that I'm burnt out because it's too much in some way. So I try, you know, to find this balance with work and with private life and also with my research work. But it's not easy, you know, it's not easy. We need more Roma people who are psychologists, who are psychiatrists. We need more people who will understand my dilemma. So I don't know what to say. I hope that I will reply. I replied to you.
All right, thank you very much, Sonia. So do you find any different or unique kind of cases produced by the war? Because they have some kind of psychological problem, but this war, Ukraine, especially in the context of Ukrainian Roma refugee, do you find they have, you know, that war produced the different kind of psychological ailment and psychological problem for the community? And
You know, I when I spoke with Polish Roma, for example, from my city, they started to be scared, to be honest, because they will be more visible for Gazie people. So in Poland, there were 30,000 Roma. It's not so much big population in Poland, but now when the Roma refugee came to Poland, the population of Roma is much more bigger. So Roma, they are more visible in Gazie society. So if they are more visible, they are scared that they will discriminate from different situations, you know. So I spoke with Polish Roma people, and yeah, I observed that kind of thinking, you know. I observed this, that, okay, why they come here, why they go to the Germany, or why they don't go other country, because I'm scared, you know, for my family, for my child, and for myself, because Gazie people will find some, you know, person who will guilty for everything, you know. So I observed that kind of thinking, that kind of behavior, and but about the disorders, you know, after this traumatic situation, to be honest, you know, Roma were discriminated very, very long. So we have in some way trauma. Society trauma, to be honest. We talk about this trauma. We build some ethnic barriers without Gazie and Roma, and this is in some way a result of trauma. So after this war, I observed many disorders, depression, anxiety, you know, many very hard disorders, and many also trying to do the suicides, you know. So this is very hard problems, and we have to in some way separate this from the cultural thinking, because this is the clinic, in some way the clinic object. So we have to thinking about the people from clinic object to help them first of all, and then we have to think, okay, this is the cultural issue. And, you know, if someone just want to make the suicide, we have to help that person, and then we have to thinking, okay, this cultural issue is not combined with this, you know, in some way. That person gets some PTSD from the war. She was discriminated in the border, Polish-Ukraine border. I don't know, her mother is died, and other thinking, you know, other issues. So it's very complicated work. But I think that situation will open a new topic to discuss this, new way of making research about this. And I to be honest, I'm happy in some way that the Polish Roma just organized themselves to help the Roma Ukraine. So, you know, in some way that was difficult because Gazie people just pushed us to this. They said, oh, this is your own people, this is your people, so you have to help them. This is your obligatory. No, this is not my obligatory because I'm Roma. This is your obligatory because you are government, you have some procedures, you have systems, you know, I'm Roma, okay, I will help them, but not that this is my obligatory or this is the law and you have to, you know. But of course, I will help Roma people, but I observe in some way that kind of system political discrimination. This is political discrimination. That Gaji people don't want to take the responsibility from Roma refugee, and to be honest, the Roma refugee doesn't treat the same like Gaji refugee. You know, this is a very complicated situation.
But has the things slightly improved in a sense that now it is 1 year plus 9 months? Is the acceptance of refugees or people's attitude towards them have changed in Poland?
Not so much, you know, to be honest. The attitude from Polish people, you know, it's we have still the reports which showed that the people who create some houses from refugees, these houses from refugees, for example, they don't have basic needs. So the Roma refugee just live, you know, in one home, 50 or 100 persons without access to education, without access to doctors. So we observe this here in Poland. What I can say? What I can say, you know, it's still, you know, in some cities in Poland, it's still bad situation for Roma refugees. But I will not say that there are not good things, you know. For example, in Warsaw, you know, that kind of activities, what we do, that help that people, you know, but we need more.
Anyone else would like to make any comment? Virendraji, anything from you? So I don't see anyone with any comments or questions. So in case there is nothing from the participants, so I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our speaker for an excellent presentation and sharing her personal approach and also the help which her foundation is doing towards the Roma refugees. And we learned from her the challenges which they are facing, and we wish them a success because still the problem is on, and still there may be some more refugees trooping in, and some may be going back, but things are still fluid, and many will continue to stay as a refugee in Poland even after the things are sorted out. So it's a very long battle, and we wish your foundation and people all the success. And I like to take this opportunity to thank all the participants for attending this today's lecture. Your participation makes us, gives us encourages us to do more, and we will continue with this monthly lecture series. And we hope that you will be joining us in future also and giving your advices or suggestions on what to do and how to increase our outreach to Roma brothers and sisters, and what more to do to make Indians be aware about their historical connections. And I wish to also inform you that our initiative of setting up a Roma memorial in Kannauj has been successful, and there was a foundation stone, the groundbreaking ceremony only recently, few days back, and we hope that soon we will have a monument in Kannauj, clearly linking the Roma's historical connection with India. And thank you very much, and all the best. So I see Mr. Pradeep Kapoor. Would you like to say something? No. Okay, then with this, let me thank you everyone and wishing to see you next month for the similar lecture series. Thank you very much once again, Sonia and all others.
Thank you
With
very
this, we
much.
close this. With this, we
Thank
close
you.
the lecture, today's lecture.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you very much
Thank you.
for
Thank you.
wonderful presentations. And thank you, Virendra ji, and Vaiko ji, and Suzanne ji, all Mohan Singh ji. Thank you very much. And see you in the next lecture or our next event. Thank you
Thank you.
very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.